Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Tanks Blitz. We're going to be doing a review here on the T28 Heavy Tank Concept, which is a Tier 7 American premium tank destroyer in Blitz, and was given away as part of the Blitz Treasures event, which, as you can see, is currently running from July the 3rd to July the 15th, 2017, which instantly dates this video, or at least in terms of when I made it. So. What is it? Well, you will recognise this tank from PC as a reward for completing the second campaign of the personal missions. Here in World of Tanks Blitz, it's far easier to unlock than it is in PC, doing all of those missions. All you have to do is buy chests of varying quantities in order to unlock it. As you can see, there was originally, well, I'll actually show you in the store what you can get. So you can get the complete chest, which includes 4 premium vehicles plus a slot for the T28 Concept, T34 Independence Feed, T54 First Prototype, and the VK453. And you can obviously unlock all 4 of those individually. But then you can also get these things, which are special chests, which will just give you the special tank for the particular phase of the Blitz Treasure. As you can see, July the 3rd was for the T28 Heavy Tank Concept. July the 6th is for the T34 Independence. And then I don't know what the other ones are. I'm looking forward to finding out. But this is the tank which you first unlock. I bought way too many chests in order to unlock this thing, and so I actually managed to get this thing once. And then shortly afterwards I got 2 chests in a row with the exact same tank, which is why I've been compensated with enough credits to buy an E100, which I'm still working my way towards in free XP and also XP from the E75. But right now that doesn't matter, because we're looking at the T28 Heavy Tank Concept, which was released for July the 4th, which was Traitor Day, aka Independence Day. So late happy Traitor Day to all of you Americans. I was unable to make a Traitor Day video because time constraints. But yeah. So what is this tank like? Well, it's got 49% protection, 52% firepower, 76% shot effectiveness, and 26% maneuverability. So it looks like an all-round tank destroyer, but well, it only excels in a couple of areas really, which is unfortunate because it's otherwise a pretty meh tank destroyer, honestly. It does, however, have 1000 HP, which brings it in line with a lot of other Tier 7 tank destroyers. For example, the Blaze WZ, which has got 950, the E25, which has got 1000 without the extra hit points equipment slot, the Helsing, which has got 1000, and the ISU 122S, which has also got 1000. Yes, it has. So, yeah, it's got a decent amount of HP. It's sort of in line with other Tier 8 tank destroyers, which is good. As for the armor, it's got very good frontal hull, which we will get onto actually, which is 203mm front, 101 side, 50 at the rear. So, yeah, sides and rear is pretty weak. The turret armor, 101 at the front, 101 at the sides rather, 0 at the front, 0 at the rear. Don't know why, but for some reason this counts as a turret, so this actually counts as 101mm thick. I have no idea. But that counts as 101 thick. The sides, 101, yeah, not great at all. Rear, 50, those are just gigantic weak spots. However, the front of the hull is 203mm thick, and the 203mm thick counts as this lower glacis here. Also, the extreme sloping of the frontal glacis, which means that is basically an auto bounce zone. It's an auto ricochet zone for that. This is possibly a weak spot. I'm not too sure, I haven't really gotten to know it yet, but I believe this is a weak spot, but then don't quote me on that. These are going to be weak spots, however, at the top of the tank. These are vision ports. As for these, yeah, things will ricochet off. Unfortunately, all of that is mitigated by these two things, which are little machine gun turrets. They rotate 180 degrees from the hull, and they would most likely have been used to ward off infantry. So any infantry trying to sneak up from the side or rear, the ball turret could just swing around and bracka, 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 they're all dead. which is a sound idea and in practice probably would have worked very, very well and made it very difficult for infantry to actually sneak up on this tank on the battlefield. Unfortunately in Blitz there is no infantry, so these things are useless. Plus, they only count as 101mm thick on the side, which means these two things are weak spots, and you can't even really cover them up, because there's two of them on the sides of the tank. It means anyone fighting you from the front won't even bother to aim here, they'll just instantly aim for these things. Now they are sort of small, but then at the same time, not really. So the best thing to do is, because this thing has got a very good gun arc, the gun arc goes to like here and here. As you can see, this is probably the extent of the gun arc where all of this has been sort of scratched away and leaves just the metal. What you can do is this thing excels really at corner fighting. So you would get up to a corner of a building, say this post is a building corner. So you would angle yourself up to about here, you can still shoot around it. This thing's covered up by the building, this thing's covered up by your hull. Means that all they will have to shoot at is about this. And by this I mean about here. They would have your track and the frontal 203mm of your hull. That's all they would have to shoot at, which would mean this thing would be pretty invulnerable to anything. So this thing really excels at corner fighting, if anything. So that's what I would suggest. Get yourself into a easily defendable corner and just keep angling yourself around the corner like that. Don't side scrape, because they'll just instantly hit these things, and that's a bad idea. Side scraping would work well on the Tankenstein, for example, if you angled it here, because then this is just a bounce. But in this thing, they won't bounce off this, they'll penetrate through this. So yeah, the giant glaring weak spots of the ball turrets. So yeah, that's the armour, which is fairly disappointing, unfortunately. It does weigh 70 tons, however it's got a very, very powerful engine for 1,056 horsepower, which for a 70-ton tank isn't that bad, which means that the power to weight, I would imagine, is alright. The speed limit, however, not that great, 29 km per hour, which is pretty slow. The traverse speed is 20 degrees per second, the turret traverse is 20. Then again, the 20 degrees per second of the turret traverse is decent, that's decent enough. The traverse speed, unfortunately, not that great. Yeah, it's pretty lacking. So you'll want to go, for example, improve fuel, for example, to get that traverse speed up. Otherwise, it would be even worse than that. If I was to take that off, it would be even worse. It would be like 18 or something, maybe. So, yeah. There's that. As for the engine, 20% chance of throwing impact. Yeah. There's the turret, 240 meters view range. Yeah, that's decent enough. 73 tons, so you still got a couple of tons to sort of play around with. Yeah, the traverse speed is pretty crap as well. So yeah, but now we come to the gun, which is obviously the important thing about a tank. So it's a 105mm gun T5, which is unfortunately not as good as the 105mm gun T5E1E, which is mounted on the M6A2E1. Unfortunately, it's not that great. The gun is a bit of a meh gun. It's alright, but it doesn't really excel in any places much. The rate of fire is alright, 5.21 seconds. Sorry, 5.21 rate of fire round per minute. The average penetration is only 181, as you will see if I remove the calibrated shells to the gun rammer. As you can see, 181 standard penetration with armor piercing is not that great. The rate of fire, you have to suffer, unfortunately, because if you want decent penetration on this tank, you really need calibrated shells, which means that you have to sacrifice the gun rammer. If they were to change the Blitz equipment, as I keep saying, so that you could have any choice of your 9 equipment rather than being limited to the 2 in each category, that would be far more acceptable, and I'd probably actually like that equipment slot. Sorry, the equipment redesign that they've done, but unfortunately they keep it as this, so yeah, we're stuck with that. But yeah, so average penetration is alright for tank destroyer. Actually at tier 7 it's probably one of the better penetration for a tank destroyer, honestly. The Helsing's gun has got 170 average pen. Blaze WZ's got 175, so is that. E75's only got 194. I say only, because I was about to say only got 150, but of course that's PC. In Blitz, the E25 is even more overpowered with 194 penetration. Yeah. So the penetration is... actually, it's alright, I suppose. It's one of the better amounts of penetration for a Tier 7 tank destroyer. I may leave it on calibrated shells, but then again, I prefer the gun rammer, so I might try it out with the gun rammer again. So yeah, the average pen is alright for Tier 7. Not as much as some of the heavy tanks, for example, the VK4503, the Tiger P, the Tiger 1, for example. All those things with 203 penetration. Not as good as the M6A2E1, the Mutant, at Tier 7, which has got 191, 194 pen, no, 198. So yeah, but even so, that's still acceptable, I suppose, for Tier 7. 224 with APCR, 53 with high explosives, so yeah, pretty terrible. 310 average damage with AP, which is pretty good actually. That's decent penetration. Sorry, that's good damage rather. For Tier 7, that's one of the higher amounts of damage. The nerfed, I suppose, damage of the premium shells means that it only does 260 with APCR. 400 is high explosive though, at least. 0.38 dispersion, which is not that great. It's pretty terrible accuracy, really, for a tank destroyer, but then this does sort of hint at the more of a brawler playstyle due to the good gun arc, the strong frontal hull, minus the weak spots. Yeah, and the right penetration, and the bad dispersion, so it's more of a brawler tank, similar to the Doom Turtle and the T28. So yeah, dispersion isn't great. However, the aim time is good. 4.5 seconds is one of the better aim times in Blitz. So yeah, it's got decent aim time. So the gun is a bit of an all-rounder. It's a bit meh, but then at the same time, it's got good aspects and bad aspects, as has any gun. I don't think there is ever a really, you know, the ultimate gun, because all of them have got something wrong with them. But yeah, so that's all for the base stats. It's a bit of a meh tank, honestly. It's got pretty slow speed and traverse speed. The gun is alright, but then at the same time meh. The armor is good at the front, but mitigated by the ball turrets at the side, which is eh. So it's a bit of a meh tank. It's alright for a Tier 7 tank destroyer, but at the same time it doesn't have any outstanding qualities, like, for example, the Tankenstein, the M6A2E1, the T28 It's, yeah, it's something that's almost easy to overlook. In a crowd, at least. As for the ammunition, it does carry a lot of ammunition, 60 rounds, which is enough to get you through any battle. I would definitely suggest carrying around some armor-piercing composite rigid, because with the nerfed, nerf damage of APCR, I always carry around enough ammunition to completely kill a full health version of whatever tank I'm driving. So from full health to nothing, if I penetrate with each shot, I'm doing about average damage, which for this gun will be 260 damage. Then with 6 shells, I can do about 1400 damage if all of them penetrate, which is enough to kill another one of these. So I don't really need to carry any more. So that's my philosophy on premium ammunition, if I carry any. But other than that, just load full armor piercing, and that's fine. So yeah, it's got a lot of ammunition, which you can easily just continuously fire. As for provisions, you've got standard and improved fuel for +3 or 10% respectively to engine power, turret reverse. Then you've got can of cola and case of cola for +3 and 10% respectively to crew mastery. Then you've got protective kit, 15% to protection and crew from injuries, 10% speed and modular repair, 20% fire protection, and 10% ammo and fuel tank durability. So yeah, you can fit some of those if you want. I would suggest improved fuel, maybe even going with standard fuel along with that. But if not, a case of colour probably wouldn't go amiss for the better rate of fire. So yeah. As for consumables, repair kit, first aid kit, fire extinguisher, you know, your standards. Then you've got engine power boost, 20% engine power for 15 seconds. Then you've got tornado energy for 20% to load speed and 10% chance of damaging enemy vehicle modules for 15 seconds. Then you've got the multi-purpose restoration pack, which extinguishes fire, repairs all damaged modules, and heals all crew members. So yeah, you can go ahead and fit some of those if you want. I can't be bothered anymore to explain why I go with the 3 standards rather than fitting some of these special things. But you can go and look at any of my earlier reviews and find out exactly why. I just literally can't be bothered anymore with the amount of reviews. But yeah, so there's everything there. Then you got the equipment. So it's your choice of gun rammer or calibrated shells. Honestly, either of them is good for this tank destroyer, I would say. So yeah, either of them is good. It's up to your discretion. Then protected modules. Then I would say coated optics. Could go Camouflage, but it's a pretty large thing, and honestly, it's not suited to the tank destroyer style. So the Camouflage would be wasted, honestly. So I would say go for coated optics because that's the only other choice you have because Blitz equipment. Then I would say supercharge because you don't really need the enhanced gun lane drive. 4.5 seconds is a good aim time. So supercharge for the extra shell velocity and less penetration decrease of distance. So yeah, I would say that. Then possibly enhanced armor or improved assembly. Honestly, with the gigantic weak spots of the tank, armor is pretty irrelevant. So 5% extra 101 armor is not that much. So yeah, I would say it would probably get up to about maybe 110 armor, which is still pathetic at tier 7 or even at tier 6. So yeah, don't bother with enhanced armor. I would say improved assembly. As for this, improved control, definitely want to increase that traverse speed, so definitely go with improved control. Then a refined gun for better dispersion, so better accuracy, so refined gun. And then your choice of enhanced tracks or toolbox, possibly enhanced tracks, I would say. But then, of course, it's your choice, and then your choice of whatever the hell these things are. So, yeah, there's the new equipment that they decided to implement, which is stupid. And then you've got Camouflage. And, well, you've got the Special Independence War Paint for the 4th of July. And, well, this is another one of these Embodiment of America war paints. It's not quite as Larry, shall we say, as the T34 Independence, but it's still very American. 4th of July, written on the sides of the hull there. Nice dark blue hatches, which is very nice, plus the dark blue here. You got the star on the top of the hull. You've got these stripes, which are pretty nice on the around the top of the superstructure. Gigantic American flag adorning the sides of the hull. Red outlining, which I do like. I do like the red outlining that they did of the varying parts. I think the red outlining with the white of the hull does work very well. Then you got the blue, blue of the whole central turret area, I suppose you could call it, of the gun. Gun is just this gigantic white stick sticking out the front. Then you've got, of course, the Eagle of Freedom at the front, underneath the front driver's viewport / hatch, possibly. And yeah, it's just the embodiment of America, freedom and democracy. So that you too can now drive out and free people, free the people of the server. So yeah. Oh dear. But of course you can go ahead and mount that. It does count as legendary camouflage, so that's why I got it, because A, it looks cool, B, it's unique, and C, it's legendary, so I can't help it. I'm a collector in Blitz at this point. As for crew, can't say much because, well, Blitz crew works differently. You have to basically go through every tank type, which doesn't really help. So, oh yeah, of course you've also got the stars around the edge of the turret ring, I suppose you could call it here, which does sort of work. The whole camouflage actually sort of works. It does stand out a lot. Because if you look at the dull background here, and then you just have this gigantic gleaming symbol of America, just sort of sitting here. which is just funny compared to something like the Mutant or the Nomad. I mean, it's just crazy. But it's a bit of a meh tank destroyer, but at the same time it's very unique, and it does well in certain situations. Plus, look at this camouflage. How can you say no? So yeah, that is the T28 HTC. I'll thank you for watching and goodbye.